She's only with him for his money. Those words hit Emma like a knife to the chest. She had just walked in the cafe, hand in hand with Daniel, her boyfriend of 1 year, when she overheard the whisper. A group of Daniel's friends sat at the corner table, their eyes scanning her up and down, sneers painted across their faces. They didn't lower their voices. They wanted her to hear. Emma's heart burned, but she forced a smile and held Daniel's hand tighter. She didn't want to cause a scene. She didn't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. But deep inside, she was breaking. Daniel came from a well-known wealthy family in the city. His father was a respected architect, and his mother ran a chain of boutiques in the most expensive part of town. Daniel himself was a software engineer, doing well for his age. He was handsome, charming, and came from money, the kind of man every girl supposedly dreamed of. And then there was Emma. To the outside world, Emma was a nobody. She lived in a modest apartment, drove an old car, and worked long hours at a community center. She didn't wear flashy clothes or expensive jewelry. She didn't fit into the glittering world Daniel came from. And that was why, from the moment Daniel introduced her to his circle, the whispers had begun. She's using him. She looks like she can't even afford her own rent. Wait until she drains his account. The cruel word spread like wildfire, clinging to Emma like poison. The night Daniel took Emma to meet his parents was supposed to be special. She had spent the whole day preparing, picking out a simple but elegant dress, baking her grandmother's recipe of apple pie, because she wanted to contribute something homemade. She walked into their mansion with nervous excitement, but instead of warmth, she was met with cold stares. Daniel's mother, Mrs. Collins, eyed her dress with disapproval. His father offered a polite but forced smile. And halfway through dinner, Daniel's sister leaned across the table and whispered just loud enough for Emma to hear. Enjoy this while it lasts. He'll wake up soon and realize what you're really after. Emma's hand trembled as she placed her fork down. Her heart thudded painfully, but she forced herself to remain calm. She looked at Daniel, praying he would defend her, but Daniel only cleared his throat awkwardly and changed the subject. That silence hurt more than the insult. Weeks turned into months, and the accusations grew louder. At parties, people laughed behind her back. On social media, strangers called her a gold digger. Even at the supermarket, she swore she heard whispers when she passed. The weight of it all became unbearable. One night, as Emma sat in her tiny apartment, she wept uncontrollably. She wasn't with Daniel for his money. She didn't need his money. If only they knew who she really was. But Emma had made a choice long ago to live a simple life, to hide her true identity, because she wanted to be loved for her, not for what she owned. What no one knew, not even Daniel, was that Emma was the sole heir to a billion-dollar company her late parents had built from scratch. Her father, a self-made businessman, had passed away 5 years ago, leaving her everything. But Emma had sworn to keep it quiet until she was ready to step into the public eye. Until then, she wanted to know who truly valued her heart, not her bank account. But that secret was now destroying her. One evening, Daniel's parents invited Emma over again. She hoped maybe this time things would be different. They weren't. After dinner, Mrs. Collins pulled her aside into the grand living room. "Emma, let me be direct," she said coldly. "I don't believe you love my son. I believe you love his money. And I won't allow him to throw his future away on someone like you." Emma swallowed hard, her chest tightening. "Mrs. Collins, I love Daniel. I'm not here for his money." Enough," Mrs. Collins snapped. "If you truly care about him, you'll leave. Walk away now, before you destroy his life." Emma froze, her breath caught in her throat. She wanted to scream, to tell this woman the truth, that she had more wealth than the entire Collins family combined. But she bit her tongue. She wasn't ready. Not yet. Later that night, Emma confronted Daniel. "Do you believe him?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "Do you think I'm using you?" Daniel hesitated, just for a second, but it was enough. I don't know, Emma," he admitted. "It's hard when everyone keeps saying the same thing. Sometimes I wonder." Emma's heart shattered. The man she loved, the man she trusted. He doubted her too. Tears filled her eyes as she turned away. If you don't know by now, Daniel, maybe you never will. That night, Emma made a decision. She wouldn't beg anyone to believe in her. She wouldn't explain herself to people who had already judged her, but she would show them. She would reveal the truth, not out of pride, not out of revenge, but to reclaim her dignity, to silence the whispers once and for all. A week later, the Collins family hosted a lavish gala. Business leaders, politicians, celebrities, the entire city's elite would be there. Emma received an invitation, though she suspected it was only because Daniel had begged his parents. She stood before her mirror that evening, slipping into a breathtaking gown, not borrowed, not rented, hers. As she gazed at her reflection, she whispered to herself, "Tonight, they'll finally see who I really am." And with that, she stepped into the car waiting outside. Not Daniel's car, but her own black Rolls-Royce, driven by her personal chauffeur. The city lights shimmered as she rode toward the gala, her heart pounding with both fear and fire. This was the night everything would change. The gala shimmered with crystal chandeliers, flowing champagne, and the sound of violins dancing through the air. It was a kind of night where wealth dripped from every corner. Diamond necklaces, tailored tuxedos, luxury cars lined outside like trophies. When Emma arrived, heads turned, she stepped out her Rolls-Royce, the chauffeur opening the door with polished grace. For once, she didn't try to blend in. She wore a gown that sparkled like starlight, a dress designed by one of Europe's most exclusive fashion houses, a designer who owed her family more than a few favors. Her hair was pinned with diamond clips, subtle yet commanding. The whispers started immediately. "Is that Emma? She doesn't look the same. Where did she get a dress like that?" Inside, she could feel the eyes. But this time, she wasn't trembling. This time, she was ready. Daniel spotted her first. His jaw dropped slightly, not just at her beauty, but at the confidence radiating from her. He hurried over, brushing past some executives. "Emma, you look..." She raised a hand gently. "Not now, Daniel. Tonight isn't about us." Her voice was calm, but it carried weight. As they entered the ballroom, Mrs. Collins' sharp eyes locked onto Emma. She walked over, her lips curved into a tight smile. "Well, I must say you clean up nicely. But let's not pretend we don't know why you're here. This is not your world, Emma." Emma held her gaze steadily. "We'll see." Dinner was served. Speeches were made, and deals were whispered across tables. Emma sat quietly beside Daniel, observing, but she could hear the mutters. She's clinging to him. Does she even know which fork to use? Soon, she'll embarrass herself. Then came the moment of humiliation. The Collins family was called on stage to be recognized for their contributions to charity. Applause filled the room as they waved graciously. Mrs. Collins took the microphone. "And of course, tonight we are honored to have my son friend with us," she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Emma, we do hope you're enjoying a little taste of high society." Laughter rippled through the room. Emma's face burned, but she didn't flinch. She rose gracefully to her feet. "Thank you," she said simply, her voice clear. Then she sat back down, ignoring the smirks around her. Daniel leaned in. "I'm sorry." She had no right to say that. Emma only smiled faintly. "Don't worry. My time is coming." The night rolled on until the host announced a surprise auction. Rare art pieces donated by some of the wealthiest families. The bidding began. Paintings soared past $500,000. A sculpture climbed to $3 million. Emma sat quietly, her glass of champagne untouched. Then the final piece was revealed, a breathtaking oil painting of a skyline at dawn. The crowd gasped. It was a famous masterpiece. Opening bid, $5 million. The room buzzed. Daniel's friends whispered, "This is it. Let's see if she can even pretend to belong here." A hand shot up. $6 million. Another. 7. 8. The tension rose. Then, calm as ever, Emma lifted her hand. $10 million. The room fell silent. All eyes snapped to her. The auctioneer blinked in shock. $10 million from the young lady in silver. Mrs. Collins let out a short, cruel laugh. Don't be ridiculous. She doesn't have that kind of money. She's bluffing. Emma tilted her head slightly. I don't bluff. 11 million, another bidder shouted, trying to dismiss her. 15, Emma said smoothly, not even glancing their way. Gasps echoed. The auctioneer's gavel came down. Sold. For 15 million, to the young lady in silver. The room erupted in murmurs. Who was this woman? Before the whispers could settle, Emma stood. Her hands were steady, her voice calm but commanding. Forgive me, she said, her eyes sweeping across the room. I haven't properly introduced myself. I'm Emma Lawson, sole heir of Lawson Global Enterprises. The entire ballroom froze. Gasps, shocked faces. Daniel's glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Lawson Global, a billion-dollar empire spanning real estate, tech, and international trade. One of the most powerful companies in the country. Emma continued, her voice steady. My parents built this company from nothing. When they passed, they left it all to me. I chose to live quietly because I want to know who truly valued me. Not what I own. But tonight, I think I've made my point. Her eyes landed on Mrs. Collins. I am not here for anyone's money. I have more than enough of my own. The silence was deafening. People scrambled to adjust their expressions. Smiles replaced sneers. Suddenly, Emma wasn't a nobody. She was a woman everyone wanted to know. Executives rushed over to shake her hand. Politicians asked for her attention. Even Daniel's friends, the ones who mocked her, stumbled over themselves to apologize. Mrs. Collins' face paled, her arrogance crumbling. Emma, we didn't know. Emma smiled politely. No, you didn't. And that was the whole point. Later, as the gala ended, Daniel found her outside beneath the glowing city lights. Emma, wait, he pleaded. Why didn't you tell me? Why keep this a secret? Emma turned to him, her eyes filled with a quiet sadness. Because I needed to know, Daniel. I needed to see if you could love me for me, not for what I had. And when I asked you if you believed in me, you hesitated. His face crumpled. I was wrong. I let their words poison me. Please, Emma, give me another chance. She shook her head gently. I cared for you deeply. But love without trust can't survive. Maybe one day you'll understand. And with that, she stepped into a Rolls Royce, leaving him standing in the cold night. Months later, Emma's name dominated headlines. She had officially taken the reins of Lawson Global, launching new projects that created thousands of jobs. She became a symbol of strength. The woman once mocked as a gold digger, now one of the most powerful figures in the country. She never forgot the pain, the whispers, or the humiliation, but she carried it with dignity. And when asked in interviews about that night, she would only smile and say, never judge someone by the life you think they live. Respect is worth more than money, and true love cannot exist without trust. Emma stood on the balcony of her penthouse, the city glowing beneath her. The same city that once laughed at her now bowed to her name. Her phone buzzed with endless messages, business opportunities, and even Daniel's desperate apologies. But she had found her peace. Because in the end, the greatest victory wasn't the billion she had. It was proving to herself and to the world that her worth was never tied to anyone else's approval. She wasn't the gold digger. She was the gold